So we're good. Copy the inspiration, not the outcome. So I don't know where that came from. I've seen it years ago and it stuck with me. So we'll just go on to the next one. It's not my quote, by the way. Next one. Cat's getting us there.
I'd like to, arrow right. It's not working.
Oh, kite humor. Gary Larson stuff. Early but unsuccessful practical jokes. Okay, Norg, shake. No, wait. Dang. Okay, get ready. Shake. No. Okay, get ready. Of course, Ben Franklin experiment. Of course, we know who gets out there. And this is a okay, Bob, go, go, go. Right, trying to get that log to fly. Next. All right, so this is by an artist, an article written, and he did some TED Talks and published a book. Actually, it's from a book called Steal Like an Artist. He does poetry, and he would take words out of stories and create poems. So he's circling words on a page to create a poem, and then he black out the rest of the page. But he come to find out that had been done several hundred years ago. And so he researched it, and it's like, oh, I've been stealing ideas that were done. Somebody else stole the idea. Oh, wait, somebody else stole that idea. And so that's what this is about. Nothing comes from nowhere. Steal like an artist. And this is the thing that stuck out to me in the book. What's good theft versus bad theft? So good theft is where you honor the person. Of course, bad's degrade. Study, you just skim. Steal from many, or you just steal from one person. You credit the person or you plagiarize. Transform, that's what I like doing, is I like transforming things versus imitate the exact same thing that they've done. Remix it versus rip off. So good. All right, where to steal ideas? My kite inspirations when I first started was Ron Gibeon and George Peters. And I tried to copy George Peters' banners, the way he made his feather banners. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. And Ron Gibeon, I went and spent some time with him at his home in Visalia. When I was first starting to build kites, I took my sketchbook there. I showed him the sketches, and he's like, dude, you got to make this stuff. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. But the main thing I got from him was black and white stripes. He put black and white in a lot of his stuff. So ever since then, I've been hooked on black and white. I love using black and white. Current list of artists. These are not kite artists. These are actual artists. Tom Fedro does paintings. He does like 2 a day. Acrylics, faces, scenes, distorted faces. You'll see some kites later on that were done in his style. Kimmy Cantrell is a ceramic artist that does faces in ceramic. They're flat and they're distorted. Not Picasso so much, but one eye may be higher than the other, and textures are really unique. Carmen Hurt, Sally Trace, Eric, other artists that do, he does surf art, waves, palm trees, but very nice graphics. Graphics, they do a lot of graphics. Starting a theme, if you don't have an idea where to start, pick something. I want to do flowers, I want Southwest art, insects patterns, quilting, Art Deco, something. Find something that you like. And where are we going to get those ideas from? Pinterest. Who's heard of it? Yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you haven't heard of it. Perfect. It's the black hole. You only have a 30-minute time limit in there because otherwise you'll miss a day. You'll be gone for 2 or 3 days in there. So when you get in, remember your way out, right? Left arrow up at the top. Go that way, go that way. So what I pin, lots of Art Deco, lots of Art Nouveau. Basically the difference, this is architectural, a lot of straight lines. This is curvy stuff, the difference. Lots of jewelry I look at. I love tribal designs. Stained glass patterns. Those are very simple because they work well for kites. Quilting kind of things. I love looking at insect patterns, especially wings and the designs there. Zentangle, raise your hand if you do not know what Zentangle is, okay? This is a trademark name. This is the name we know, Doodle, okay? So when you're sitting on the phone and you're doodling, next one, and you're drawing designs, right? So somebody marketed this, said, hey, we're gonna call it Zentangle, and it's how you make these patterns, and blah, 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 and they made a bunch of money. These are some of my wind garden pieces inspired by George Peters. And this is a Zentangle pattern, so it has 4 stripes, 4 black, 3 white, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what it looks like here. So it looks like a piece of nylon up close that you're looking at. Concentric circles, zebra stripes, waves that overlap. So that's just Zentangle.
Is that all painted?
No, that's all applique.
That's all that.
All applique. This took forever, right, Kat?
Yeah.
Which one did you do, Kat? Which one haven't you finished?
The Zentangle.
Okay, whew,
I'm almost there.
all right. These were a coloring book, and I just took pictures. I opened it up and it says, oh, I love that, oh, I love these, okay, snap, there's ideas, right? Next. More places, Google Images, again, another black hole, but I like Pinterest better. Clip art works well. Art magazines, I go to the library and look at art, American Crafts, Southwest Art, I look at those. And I look at the little things. I'm not looking at the big picture. It's like, what did they do in this little corner of this picture? One little thing that stands out to me. It's like, oh, I like that pattern, or I like that design. Library free, cheap. Graffiti art, I love looking at that. It's just unique stuff. This is art magazine of some sort. But I saw this right here, and I thought, that's a kite.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do this shape. I can extend it out the top. A circular tail, I can do that. So that could be a kite. Of course, the bugs can be. This, I just like the colors. It's my colors, mangoes and grays and stuff. So it's like, oh, let me take a picture of that. Next, t-shirt ideas. These are my kids at school when I used to teach. I don't know what this is. Some young kids know what that is. Of course, a splat. I love splat. So that can be put on a kite. You can change the colors. My first kites that I made, Tyvek, Rokoku, soft Tyvek. This was off an album cover, Jade Warrior. Anybody know Jade Warrior? Album was called Kites, and they had pictures of kites on it, big Rokoku. So, I mean, it's a traditional picture, but I copied it from the album cover. Utah State Park and Rec logo is called Asshole and Elbows. Okay. Kite, this was on a Reno Kite Festival sleeve, turned sideways. And it's to make it look like Japanese writing, so it's like, oh, I'll just, and that's painted with acrylic. That's all painted. That was my first kites that were successful. Next. Scrapbooking paper, I saw this moth and it's like, oh, I love that. Just take a picture of it, boom. Carpet, Vancouver Airport. I just like the pattern. I was waiting for my plane ride. That's right, sketchbooks, all right. So you gather all these ideas, and you need a place to put them. And so I have sketchbooks. I have 20 years. I'm on my 20th sketchbook, and they're like 70 pages. And I just sketch ideas, lots and lots of ideas. And at the end, I'll have you you can come up and look. Hard to see, I know. Hard to see. You can kind of see some wings in there, and you're welcome to look at that. I start with thumbnail sketches, small. Don't make a big picture. Just tiny little thumbnails, and I sketch the outline of an image, and then I only sketch on half of the sides, half of the image. I draw a design. Then what I do is I hold up a mirror. So here's images. And I'll hold up a mirror so I see what the whole thing looks like. I don't have to draw the whole thing. I don't have to color it in. I use Prismacolor markers and Prismacolor pencils, and that way I can get the fade that I do with my paint. So this here is several hundred images of one of these kites, right? And I'll do several hundred, and I'll find 1 or 2 that I like. And I brought some other samples of these that you can look at. So I use the mirror to see what the whole thing is and repeat the new design on the other half. Draw another design and change it, tweak it. Don't spend all your time erasing. I don't like that. Booey, just go on to another. How do I get all these outlines? Is I draw one and then trace it through on the computer. You guys can just copy and paste and make multiple images. So I have 20 outlines per page. Make multiple copies of the same kite outline, then start doodling images to fit the outlines. And then take photos of the ideas that you have in the patterns and put them in there. And just start, I like feathers, or I like whatever. This is the kite that's in the back there. Anybody recognize that poster? Anybody know who that is? Daryl Hannah? Daryl Hannah. The Clan of the Cave Bear. I've never seen the movie, but I loved the poster. So this is a movie poster, and there was a magazine called Heavy Metal years ago. Heavy Metal did it on the cover, but I loved it. And finally, a couple of years ago, the idea came, how am I going to use that design? So it went from this, with this coming off the eyes, to right here. Okay, same, that's where it came from, right there. Ginky eyes. And so I'm putting that on a rev. We're having that on a rev now, the eyeballs. No. Kitty cat kite. You can see where the inspiration for that came from. Okay. Next. Although I did this is hanging up in the cafeteria. Willie Lugo owns it now. Somebody else had purchased, Ray Dell had purchased it 20 years ago. Now Willie owns it. But this, I took the picture about 4 years ago. It's like, look at that. They stole my idea. Dang them. I should get royalties for this, But anyways, it's not. It's just your standard Ed Roth eyeball kind of critter. But you can see where the inspiration would come for that. Next. Yeah. Spencer Chung, probably the best applique artist I've ever seen. If you'd ever seen his work, his cut next to the stitch is right next to it. There's no wave. In fact, you think he goes under the stitch. It's so perfect. How does he do that? I don't know. If you ever get a chance to see his work, it is applique perfect. Jose is very good. Spencer is the best I've ever seen. What I got from this was the maroon on the orange. So he painted on white, and he had two layers he had the painted layer, black and a white. And so this is my version of his design. And I made a series of these kind of, Native American kind of looking things. But his is from Acoma Indian design pottery. Next.
How does that translate up in the air, 100 feet up in the air? Does it translate well?
Yeah, this one right here, it's got lots of contrast. This might fade out. This might look all white right there, but those, I don't fly those very high. It's a group setting, so they're low. Pole dancers, what pole dancers are is on a vertical pole, a 414 pole, I put these guys on and they act as a wind vane, okay? So they're just wind vanes. And I've been making them for years and years, and my wife went to the fabric store and she points this out to me. She says, look, there's one of your pole dancers. It's like, yeah. So I took a picture because, I can make that guy. I can make that. The feet can't be like that, but I've made hands. So you can see the similarity to that. Okay, next. Altering kite. So that's pretty much where I get the ideas. Now we're going to go another step, altering the kite platforms. Taking existing plans, stretching them, add width, more bottom end, modify, transform. I make prototypes of everything nowadays, and I use seconds. I have a lot of purple. That's an eggplant color that I don't care for in the sky. So I use that for all my prototype kites. So I make an entire skin. I put all the pockets, I cut the spars, I bridle it, and then I can burn holes where I need the bridles, and I can modify it as needed as I go. So I don't do it on a nice skin that I've spent all that time painting, and it's like, oh dang, I missed the bridle. Now I got to put a hole here. Oh, that's too low. I got to put it here. So I just make prototypes of everything now. A mirror trick, I'll show you that at the end. We'll show you what I do with a mirror to alter platforms. Next. So this is Randy Shannon Stinkbug. So he was the guy that did that Petric lift piece the sandstone paintings. This is a fighter kite that he made, and like most fighter kites, you know, you have to control it. And I looked at it and I says, I want to make something like that, but a single line. And so I started playing. He gave me permission. He says, yeah. And I says, all right, I'm going to make the top wings bigger and then curve these on the bottom. So this is basically what it came out. This was a mask that I'd done. And then I made them larger, made them into that size. So that was inspired by Randy. Joel Scholl's bird. We've all seen these. You're good. Okay. Big parrots. This is the giant parrot. And the first birds I made had the head with the hair sticking out, but had kind of straight wings, and then it curved down here on the bottom, and it didn't fly very well. So I called Joel, and I says, you know, what's going on? It's not a delta. His is a delta kite. I'm trying to make mine a dihedral kite. And he says, I need to angle my wings up here on the top because they were coming straight out. So I just took the wings off, angled them, sewed them back on, boom, it flew. It's like, whoa, that was gold. That was the best. Thank you, Joel. Then they work. So I made several sizes of the birds. Next. What do we say? We know this guy. Okay, Gibbion's Astroglide. It was published in Kiting Magazine, and then, of course, I'm friends with him. Hey, Ron, I want to make an Astroglide, but I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to make a little one. Oh, go for it, whatever. So I made that, and then it's like, well, I need to put my touch to it. So I modified it. I put 2 winglets on the bottom, and then I changed it and put a needle on the top. So these are some examples of how I changed from this to that. These are wall decor, not necessarily kites, although I did get one of them to fly, but it was crank and wind. It did need a little tail on it, but it did fly. It's narrow. It's probably that wide and about that tall. So a larger version would fly. It just doesn't, the small version doesn't get the billow in the sails to create the lift. So from Ron, what else? Next. Michael Goddard, this was last year at Wiscaf. I never saw the kite from the front. He was putting them away, and I looked at it, and I says, I need that design. I want this pattern. And he says, it's his workshop kite. I said, great, can I have that pattern? And he's, yep. So I took photos. He sent it to me. And so I started making, using his exact dimensions, and then just putting my graphics on it. But then I wanted to change it. It's like I want to tweak it. I want to make it mine a little bit. So I put a notch here and added a little tail. So I've notched and notched and added a little tail. Now I've changed it to where I made it wider, and there's another notch here at the top. So it's a wider, just wider platform. What I'm going to do with it next is I'll have this shape, but now I'm going to put a spine that goes all the way down, and then put a tail, a feather, or a flare wing on the bottom. So I have some sketches of that you'll see. So this is inspired by Michael, and I'm just going to take it my direction. Okay. Next. Changing the platform. This is just changing the graphics and putting on a rev. Same thing. And it worked. Okay. Not all of them do, but yeah, that'll work. Next. JAB, that just stands for just another bug, because I make lots of bugs. This was the original, and it has a spine that goes all the way down, and that's like, it just doesn't look good. So take the legs off, modify it. This is a different version, but basically just take the legs off, change it into this. That's one of my best flying kites because it flies in all wind ranges. It's lightweight, and it just folds in strong wind. It just folds back, and it still flies. The antenna starts flapping all over. Excellent flying kite. Next, modified that. What is it? Modifying the shape. So this is a rokaku, and we've all seen these where they extend it. I extended the top across there, and then I added some little winglets. Okay, so just added those. This noodle kites, right here. So asymmetrical, I wanted to go outside the box basically, but I had to have like the eyebrows and stuff come out where the spars are. So I had to make sure it was all proportioned. Everything comes out where the spars are. They're evenly spaced. And so that's that. I've done those 4. I have more planned. I have a face, so I'll have another one that has a left and a right, and then the nose in the main part of the lips in the middle. So a 3-piece kite going together. Next, modified, so the bug, take the bottom legs off, put a long tail on it. Okay, now it's a dragon kite. This is the same bug that was made for X-Kites that sold it to Costco. This is the original version, wider. I made these wings wider, and these are flatter versus mine go up higher. These were flatter across. This is their version, so they shrink it down to like a 3/4 size that fits in the package when they sell it at Costco. Next, Gym Pack. This was going to be a Della Porta, a small one, and it was too small when I finished it, so I turned it into my son's gym bag and just playing. So modify the shape. Okay. So next, we're going to go to the next presentation. You guys were going to paint. I didn't know what you're going to do, so I just created a filler page. All right, so I just call this one Kites and Stuff. So earlier I talked about Tom Fedro and his work. This is inspired by his designs that he does, and I just took bits and pieces from faces and made my own. But his are, when you see his work, you'll say, oh, I know where Scott got that from. Kimmy Cantrell does ceramic faces, and if you see any of his work, you'd see where that idea came from. All I did is I put the spikes on the top. He uses nails for hair and stuff. Next, Stubby, my pencil. He's about 5 feet. And he's been around a long time. And then all of a sudden, Premier started making pencils. Wonder how that happened. But they didn't put a face on it. Okay. A Rokaku, that's a 2-line. So it's a pogo stick. So I call him Pogo Bird. And it's just using a rev handle, make it go up and down. And it's small, so it needs a lot of wind, and it's heavy. So I always said, I'm going to make it bigger, and I never did. So, Pogo Bird. I've had it for 20 years. Everything's 20 years because I don't remember how long. It's 20 years ago. 23 years, 22, 23, yeah. Next. Just your basic tee, but I wanted to put these little winglets on so they fold back as it flies. They kind of do that. That was kind of a cool effect. Just another, whatever, bug, something. A lot of my stuff I like eyeballs. I like it looking back at you. So that's one of the few that doesn't. Most of my stuff has eyeballs. Next, a progression. So in my sketchbook, remember this one was that modified Rokaku, and so I made it, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? I want to change it. Do I want to extend this beak or this nose down? Do I want to shorten it more? So these arrows just show my progression. Oh, I'm going to extend it all the way. No, let's just shorten it. So I shorten it, and it's like, oh, I kind of like that. Let's change the color. Let's shorten it again. No, I like this. It's 2 different colors. Remember, I put the mirror up. So when I put that mirror up there, I'll be able to see what both sides would look like. And so I made this one with a 2-point bridle, and it flew. It's like, and it's probably this wide. And I said, oh, let's make it bigger. So here's the bigger version. It has a 3-point bridle on it. And the next picture, I think, shows what it looks like now. Yeah, this in here. And it's, again, another one of my favorite flyers. It doesn't need a tail. It flies in all winds, and it's stable. That's what I really like about it. These are small wall decor, but prototypes for future kites that may or may not work. We'll find out. I may make one, I may not, I don't know. But those are just on a wall in the house, this wall decor. This, well, the sketches did, and then it turned into that. Yeah. Next. Tents, I designed tents or beach tents, kite tents. So again, I make multiple images, just black outlines, and then I start doodling different designs. And then, oh, I like this one, and can I build it? Can I applique it? That's the thing. Because some of these, it's like, if you've ever worked with 6 feet of fabric going through your machine, it's like, oh, that is not going to work. And I roll everything. When I build, I roll it because I don't want to wrinkle anything. I want everything to be perfect when it comes out of the machine. When I'm done and hang it on the wall, put it in the sky, there's no creases in it. I got to have it perfect. So I get frustrated if I have a crease in a kite. Anyways, this was doable. This is 3 pieces, well, 4 pieces, 6 pieces altogether, but stripes is easy to do, circles are easy to do, except when you have a big 4-foot piece that you're trying to get through the machine, trying to do circles. But I was able to roll it. I constantly roll, adjust, roll, so I'm not stuffing fabric through. Made a prototype out of poster board, and next page I think was some more, just some other variations. Go out to the garage, tape poster board together, create an arc for the back part. This is an arc, this is flat. And so you have to sew a curve to a straight edge. You have to get it perfect in the middle. Otherwise, you'll end up off at the end if you start on one side. And it's like, oh, wait, I got 6 inches over here. So this, I don't use CAD. I don't use nothing fancy. It's pencil, rulers, string to create an arc. Just string, and that's it. And then start building it. And it takes a weekend. It's 2 days. Next, these are the 2 examples. I've made 4, I guess, 5 now. I have a prototype one, another one. And so they're big enough 2 people can sit inside. They're probably 5 feet wide or so. It's easy enough. 2 people can sit. It's about 9 feet deep. I can throw all my crap in there, right? And it blocks the wind at the beach or swift current. Who's been to swift current? You know, 25 plus winds all day long, right? Next, pole dancers. So actually on this one page, I was shocked. I actually made all these that I colored. So when I do my sketches, the ones that I don't like, I don't color. But if hey, that's gonna work. And I number them all here. I date a lot of the things that I make, so I can just kind of, oh, it was 20 years ago I made this. Everything's 20 years ago. But these are pole dancers. Hard to see on here, but there's some pole dancers here. This is my ground display at Whiskiff last year. And just doodling. So you can see how they're all similar, but not, you know, and it's just the colors. Next, just another bowed kite, another bug. I did an alien series where they had these green eyes. All of them had this green, like a portal that they would look out of. This is this platform is from X Kites, or Brainstorm is another name they go by. They commissioned me to do a graphics for them to sell, and then they sold it at Costco. I liked the platform. What's unique about it, it has one fitting here for all of these rods. So that's what I liked about it, that one fitting, all the rods go into that. And what's nice about that is that they want to have it so that when the customer opens it up, all they have to do is stick rods together and it's ready. They don't want to have to thread rods. They don't want to have to, you know, put things in pockets and stuff. It's like you just stick some rods in and poof, it's done. So I did another version. That's my version that I did of a Cyclops bug. Next. These were originally from Mile High Kite Company in Denver, Colorado. They used to sell ladybugs. I took the basic idea, modified it a little, put some antennas on it. Again, perfect flyers. They fly great. My version of a moth, just some kind of moth. Next. 2 versions of the cat eyes. The one, that's the girly fabric back there. Girly fabric is 3/4 ounce. This is the manly fabric. And this was a different plan, so it's a different proportion. This is a 3-to-1. This is just some random stuff. But I didn't like this as well, so I made a new one because I wanted to get the eyes thinner, and I like this proportion better. And where I live, the winds are erratic at best. Either it's 40 or it's nothing. And then it's 10 and nothing. And then it's 80 and nothing. You know, it's just all day long. I was just blown away because these don't fly in Salt Lake. I went to the beach. Oh my gosh. It's like solid, no tails, stayed there the whole day. I was just amazed at how well they flew. A series. These were from Robert Brasington when I went to Bondi. Got one of his little square kites. I like the shape. I just wanted to put my graphics on it, so I just did a whole series with my graphics, but it was his platform. It's just your basic X kite, but anyways. Ground pieces, modified Rokoku with a tail. There's a Gibeon-inspired kite. Next. Another Bug. This one's very flexible. The wings kind of flap and stuff. You pull on the line, and the wings will do a lot of flapping. This, because the pressure's hitting on the top of these, it folds them back, and it creates a curve in the wing, so it gives it a nice curve. And then the bottoms are loose, not flapping loose, but lightly sparred, and they flap. Another Bug. Another Someday to Be a Kite. That's just the wall decor prototype. These are miniatures of the big faces. So I make a miniature to see if I like what it's going to look like. You know, is this going to look okay? Is it possible to make this fly? So that's just wall decor that I do. Next. George Peters inspired Wind Garden with my touch. My colors, my graphics. Basically, it's an improved version of his Wind Garden. What I mean by improved, he had all these little trinkets and knickknacks to attach them to the rod, and I just sewed a sleeve on, put a little vinyl on the end of the pole. It slides over it. The vinyl stops it from sliding down. Done. Another just ground display, banners and stuff. So when I said a red can of paint, this is like a 20-footer. So it has a lot of that mango, and I'm putting a lot of red paint on there. And so that's 1 can per banner, basically. Next, I think we're getting to the end, guys. Everything I design is on a little 3x5 table. So that's why I don't make big kites, and that's why I have to roll everything. So it's just all rolled up, and I can walk in the door, walk around this side, and sit down. There's no other room in there to stand. It's full of kites and rods and fabric. So I can walk in, turn left, sit down, and that's it. Stuff. Spencer Chung's. Anyways, just inspirational stuff. Everybody has their room like that. Some more pole dancers. Next. This one looks good, but it doesn't fly that great. It's got too much on the wings, and so it creates little puckers. There's rods that are going in here on these black parts, but it creates too much billow because the wing is too big. And so I need to just thin this out and modify the next one, make that wing a little bit narrower so it doesn't flap as much. But I like the design overall. And in the Bug, I took off the middle legs and just have the top ones and then made another tail. So again, modified, but it's the very same kite.
So when you mock up these kites, you don't do them with like plain fabric to see if they fly first.
The prototypes.
You got a huge amount of work done in the coloring of the one on the left.
On this? So there's a prototype that's made out of purple fabric, the purple that I don't like. I make a full-scale prototype and test it to go see if it flies. And then I make this. It's like, oh, it flew. I have the template already there. The templates are just poster board. I just draw it out on poster board, cut it out. And so I have the template. I just don't have the graphics drawn on the template. Then I draw the graphics on to draw onto the nylon and applique. That's it. I think that's the last one. We're done. Woohoo!